The Volkswagen Passat was originally launched in 1973. With over 15 million units sold worldwide since then, it's now time for the 7th generation. The new model introduces a new look, and there are also innovative new developments on the technical front. 2 of the 3 equipment versions include driver fatigue detection as standard.
The
Passat sedan has been significantly changed in design terms, explains VW's Marine Reinfeldt. Although the dimensions are almost the same, it now has a far bolder and more dynamic look than its predecessor. The contouring now gives the Passat a much wider appearance. VW reduced the wedge shape at the back, which ensures a flatter look from behind as well.
Die auch das Fahrzeug von der Heckansicht flacher und breiter wirken lässt.
The front is dominated by horizontal lines. The elegant character is reinforced by ample employment of chrome. From the outside, it is now rather reminiscent of its big brother, the Phaeton. And that's no coincidence. The new Passat also boasts a wide range of assist systems, the hope being to shift the car up into the executive class. The changes continue on the inside as well. There's now enhanced comfort for those taking long journeys, whether on business or on vacation. In addition, it has a tidier feel thanks to the function buttons now being gathered together in the central console. The seats and door upholstery now have improved ergonomics. The second row has more space available. We tested the dual-powered eco-fuel version of the new Passat, which is standard fitted with 2 tanks. Its engine can work with both gasoline and natural gas. The engine delivers 150 horsepower and propels the eco-fuel Passat to 100 kilometers an hour in 9.8 seconds. Its fuel consumption is listed at 6.8 liters of gasoline or 6.6 cubic meters of natural gas for 100 kilometers. The gasoline natural gas Passat has a price tag of €34,200 for the top equipment line. This puts it slightly above average. The Passat is now the first VW model to feature an optional automatic city emergency braking function. It's designed to prevent collisions in busy traffic. And there's also a driver assist for the trunk, given the self-explanatory name, Easy Open. The system allows the driver to access the trunk without the key, explains Volkswagen's Marine Reinfeldt. If you've got your hands full as you approach the car, a simple wave of the foot is enough to open the trunk. It makes it really easy to stow away large objects. Other optional features are the parking space locator and speed limit sign detector. The new Passat is certainly impressive on the technical front, and that includes the engines. There are 10 different units to choose from, and all boast reduced consumption. And the purchase price also leaves room for choice. VW likes to offer its potential clientele the full range. French car makers have a history of inventive concepts. Take the 2CV, for example. Practical, efficient, and inexpensive. The VW Beetle, on the other hand, also robust, but in comparison with the 2CV, was less practical, as well as guzzling more gas. Had there been an environmental debate in the 1950s, the French would have seen their mass-market car conquer the world. And today, which nation would already be plugged in when it comes to electromobility? In traffic-congested Paris, emissions-free cars seem like a godsend. This local believes they're the future and that they'll replace oil because oil is running out. Well, this man would gladly trade in 2 gasoline-driven cars for 1 electric car. And for this gent, it's a realistic option provided that the range is sufficient. Electric cars are big in demand, and it's again the French who are leading the pragmatic approach. Mobility is a prestige project for the government, says French carmaker spokesman François Roudier. The government wants to promote electromobility. Some 100,000 Peugeot Ions and Citroën C0s will be made next year by the Mitsubishi Group. This was negotiated by Peugeot, Citroën and Mitsubishi.
C'est un partenariat avec Mitsubishi. C'est 100 000 véhicules qui ont été négociés entre le groupe PSA et le groupe Mitsubishi.
The strategy in Germany is a different one. There, the focus is on investing in further research and development, as the Environment Minister explains. The technology still needs further development, says Norbert Röttgen. It's important not to rush things, and the money has to go to the right places. Now they're at the stage of product development, technological development, and market development. The government is concentrating state funds in that direction. He's sure it's the right strategy. R&D is a priority for the German auto industry. BMW fleet of electric cars has grown to an impressive 600 vehicles. While some experts doubt that the 500 million euros provided by the government will be enough. Professor Ferdinand Dudenhofer insists that additional investment support is essential in order to compete against factories in France, in Britain, the US, Japan, China, or Korea. Germany has some catching up to do, and he says the government has not followed up on its promised commitment to electromobility. Unlike many other car-making countries, such as France and Italy, says Ministry of Transport spokesman Andreas Scheuer, the philosophy and image in Germany is communicated first via the executive class, and then down to the mid-range and super minis. It's about quality rather than quantity, and about thoroughness being more important than deadlines. Selected customers across the world are now trying out the electric versions of BMW's popular Mini. The company wants to know where it is likely to face difficulties when making electric vehicles. Despite the massive investments to date, BMW development executive Klaus Dreger believes more research is the key. These 600 Mini E's have covered over 10 million kilometers, he says. But BMW only considers the job half done and will be continuing its tests with the Mini E's. This will include tests in new countries. A crucial point is recharging these future electric models. So issues such as infrastructure are also important.
Und deshalb geht es selbstverständlich auch ein Thema wie Infrastruktur.
Improving the infrastructure is not just about providing power outlets and recharging stations. The source of the power is essential. Facilities generating power from wind, water, and the sun will be what matters if CO2 levels are actually to be reduced. It makes little sense from an environmental perspective, says Minister Norbert Röttgen, if you fuel up your electric car with energy generated from coal. Then you'll have the CO2 figures. Electromobility and renewable energies belong together. The hope is for the Beetle and 2CV to come to symbolize the bygone gasoline era. And making this vision come true requires power to be provided from regenerative sources. The Astra Sports Tourer is Opel's latest station wagon. It looks a lot like its big brother, the Insignia Sports Tourer, and offers over 1,500 liters of cargo space and 8 efficiency-optimized engines ranging between 95 and 180 horsepower. A start-stop automatic transmission will initially be available only for the 1.3 CDTI EcoFlex entry-level diesel. BMW presents the new X3, due out on the market in 2011. The crossover can now be fitted with a dynamic damper control system and a head-up display. It also comes with more efficient engines. Like its predecessor, the new X3 model combines ample storage space with an elegant feel. Prices are expected to start at €39,100 in Germany. Three Super Minis, one objective, to provide a maximum of interior space in a small package. We're going to test three small station wagons equipped with thrifty diesels. They are the sporty Seat Ibiza ST, the mild-mannered Skoda Fabia Combi, and the unconventional Peugeot 207 SW. We want to know which has the most to offer. Their diesel engines deliver plenty of power for all three cars. The Seat and the Skoda share the same engine, a 1.6-liter four-cylinder common rail diesel with 105 horsepower and 250 newton-meters of torque. It's also very efficient. The Seat needs just 4.7 liters of fuel for 100 kilometers, the Skoda just 4.9 liters, according to tests by the German Auto Club ADAC. Carbon dioxide emissions were 123 grams per kilometer for the Seat and 128 grams for the Skoda. The Peugeot's 1.6-liter HDI diesel produces 112 horsepower. That's 7 more than its rivals, and 270 newton-meters of torque, which makes it noticeably quicker. Fuel consumption is comparable, at 4.8 liters per 100 kilometers. So let's see what these cars can do on the road. ADAC engineer Martin Rudorfer says the Seat Ibiza's ST suspension is firm and sporty. The ride is comfortable enough, but passengers do feel bumps in the road. The steering is tight and precise and delivers a good feel for the road. ESP is standard on the Seat Ibiza ST. The car responds well to sudden steering inputs and is easy to control despite slight understeer. The brakes need 39 meters to stop the car from a speed of 100 kilometers an hour. In the Skoda, our tester says the ride is a bit softer, while the steering is less exact than in the Seat. But the Skoda still does well on the obstacle avoidance test. It is likewise easy to control and guide through the course. ESP is standard, and the brakes do better than the Seat, stopping the car from 100 in just 36 meters. Martin says the Peugeot's suspension is quite hard and offers less comfort. The steering feels light, offering neither great precision nor a good feel for the road. That's also evident in the test. The car oversteers when hurled into the curve, but remains controllable. The Peugeot also has ESP as standard. The car needed 38.2 meters to stop from 100 kilometers an hour. All three models show that tasteful design and solid construction are possible in small cars. The front row in all three cars offers plenty of space. The rear seats, on the other hand, are cramped in all three cases. The Skoda offers the most rear seat legroom. The space behind the rear seat is decisive in a station wagon, and our expert says all three small station wagons offer relatively large cargo areas that are easy to access. Of the three, the Peugeot has the least space, followed by the Seat. The Skoda's cargo space is by far the largest of the three, and considerably larger than most cars in its class. The three cars also prove that small doesn't necessarily mean inexpensive. The powerful diesels help push the prices upward. The Seat Ibiza ST starts at €19,050. The Skoda Fabia Combi costs upwards of €19,280. While the Peugeot 207 SW as tested was priced at €21,000. And when you add it all together, it's pretty clear the Skoda Fabia Combi has the most to offer. car racing means the perfect setup of tires and suspension. Plenty of power and the ability to control it. Overdo it, though, and you may get left in the dust. Racing driver Patrick Simon says when he's accelerating or braking, he can't do much about the forces affecting his tires. He has to slow down to enter a curve. And that, he says, is the exact point where he can do something. That's where the potential to damage the tires is greatest. If he's going 2 kilometers an hour too fast, the forces can raise the front tire's temperature, and that can quickly destroy them. What are the forces that affect tires and suspension? Let's look at the physics. When the driver turns to the right, the car's mass want to keep going in a straight line. That creates forces that push the car to the outside of the curve. Then there's the gyroscopic effect. A spinning wheel makes it difficult to change the axis on which the wheel is turning. This makes the front wheels resist steering impulses and affects the whole car's behavior.
You have the driver, you have the car, you have the suspension, you have the tire, you have the road. And at the end, so this performance is judged by the driver. So even if you have a very good tire on the car, if the driver doesn't like it, so the tire is not the one you want to have on this vehicle. So then absolutely there, we need to make sure that the tire will operate properly and as the driver likes to have it, to make sure the vehicle responds like the driver wants to get it operating.
Whether on the racetrack or the street, a vehicle needs a good, consistent contact surface between the tire and the pavement. Tests enable researchers to quantify this contact under different load situations. Sergei Menster, an engineer with Dunlop, says a normal car tire has less road contact at higher speeds, whereas racing cars are designed to increase downward pressure and road contact at high speeds. People who build cars and tires work hard at making sure that tires and car suspensions fit each other. Dunlop, for instance, uses tomography and high-end simulation software to give its tires the characteristics it needs for a given setup. When the driver turns the steering wheel, it transmits forces not only through the tire to the road, but into the chassis as well. These must be diverted somehow. With the optimum setup of all the different components, the car will feel like it's glued to the road. But when those limits are exceeded and the suspension is pushed beyond its capabilities, physical forces take over and can make the moving vehicle uncontrollable. This is because there's another set of forces that the suspension has to deal with. Surface irregularities create vertical forces that go through the suspension into the moving vehicle. The result is a stew of lateral and longitudinal forces, gyroscopic forces, and vertical forces that are constantly changing and shifting, thereby creating extreme stress for the tires and the suspension. When pushed to the limit, the car will remain predictable only if all its components are working together as a unit. And in a race, that's what separates the winners from the also-rans. Four seats, no roof, and a big fat V8. That's how Mercedes spelled luxury in the early 70s. At the time, the Mercedes 280 SE 3.5 convertible represented the pinnacle of open-top motoring luxury. It had no real competitors. The Jaguar E was too cramped inside, a Rolls-Royce too stuffy, a Ferrari too exotic. And the 200-horsepower V8 made the car very exclusive. Just 1,232 units were built, though not due to any fault or what was then a new engine design. Even today, its power and responsiveness are still impressive. At something over 2 tons, this big convertible is more suited for cruising than hard driving, but it is no slouch either. 0 to 100 in 10 seconds and a top speed of 210 kilometers an hour. A lucky man indeed was he who had the spare change necessary for the Mercedes 280 SE with the 3.5 suffix. In 1971, these cars cost over 35,000 marks, compared to just 13,000 marks for one of the company's entry-level sedans. A car, then, for the gentleman who has arrived at a certain point in life, and who doesn't mind impressing the ladies or spoiling his wife. A car with an understated elegance, a far cry from the look-at-me flair of a Rolls or a Ferrari. The convertible Mercedes shares much with its sedan and coupe siblings. A car built for the ages. The fabric roof must still be folded away by hand. Most American convertibles of the period already had electric convertible roofs. But it doesn't matter. The Mercedes' timeless contours radiate pure class. Accented with generous portions of chrome. The designers also included plenty of space for all the baggage that the discriminating traveler may need. A covering for the spare tire would have been a much nicer touch, though. The car's occupants are surrounded by a tastefully appointed interior where design and superior ergonomics are executed in burled wood and plush leather. Air conditioning was an option, even in the top-of-the-line model. Additional legroom for the rear seat was not an option at any price. Equipped with the 200 horsepower V8, the car was about 3,000 marks more expensive than models with the regular inline-6 engine. The big convertible underwent rigorous testing before it was offered to buyers. There were many crash tests, though rollover crashes were not even taken into account. Factory owners and wealthy professionals, or their wives, were typical buyers of this top-of-the-line Mercedes. But the car was also a favorite with playboys and celebrities. The big Benz was especially popular in Hollywood, perhaps because it was a credible alternative to the huge American cars being built at the time.
I hope you understand. I hope you understand.
An automatic transmission was most common with these Mercedes, but a small number of the 200 horsepower cars were delivered with 4-speed manuals that gave them legitimate sports car attributes. As with all Mercedes convertibles of this generation, the older the car, the more valuable it is today. A good condition 280 SE 3.5 will set you back at least €100,000.